Okay, so let's unpack this. The headlines have been pretty lively, all this talk about Jeremie Frimpong, the guy from Bayer Leverkusen, maybe heading to Liverpool.
Yeah, and the source we're diving into today, this Sky Sports piece, it's interesting because right off the bat, it makes it clear this isn't just plugging a gap.
Exactly. It stresses, look, if this happens, it is absolutely not a like-for-like swap for Trent Alexander-Arnold. That feels like a pretty big signal, doesn't it?
It really does. The article almost goes out of its way to frame it differently. It doesn't say replacement so much as different option. It calls Trent a unicorn, a passing fullback like no other, sets the scene.
Right, a unicorn. So our mission here, using this article, is basically, who is Jeremie Frimpong according to this source? How does he compare, or contrast rather, with Trent? And crucially, what might this signal for Liverpool under Arne Slot?
Okay, so starting with the basics from the article. Yeah. He's 24, Netherlands international, just had that incredible double-winning season with Leverkusen. Hard to ignore that.
Definitely not. And the money side gets mentioned quite a bit. That release clause, 29.5 million. The people quoted in the article seem to think that's pretty good value.
Yeah, they use words like value and even a snip, which apparently ties into something the article brings up about Liverpool's recruitment strategy.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
Well, it mentions Julian Ward, the technical director, having this idea that new signings should ideally have, built a significant career before they arrive at Anfield.
Ah, okay. So not just signing potential, but someone who's already proven themselves somewhere significant.
Exactly. And Frimpong, coming off that season with Leverkusen, he absolutely fits that mold. He's been a key player in a top team, dealing with pressure, winning things. That experience is clearly valued.
Makes sense. It's about proven quality. And the article, it does a nice job digging into his actual journey, doesn't it? Using people who knew him way back.
It does. Tracks him right from being born in Amsterdam, but then growing up near Manchester. And kind of funny, it says he picked Man City's academy over Liverpool's back then just because the commute was easier.
Huh. Imagine traffic deciding your youth career. But Gareth Taylor, who coached him at City, gives some really good detail. Says he was an interesting character, likable, full of energy and enthusiasm, on and off the pitch.
Yeah, Taylor does add, though, that in a City youth squad that was frankly stacked with talent, Frimpong wasn't necessarily the guy grabbing headlines every single week, maybe quieter compared to, say, Felix and Mecca back then.
But, and this feels important, Taylor really highlights his mentality. Says Frimpong was not daunted by any situation. That for the big games, his level actually jumped up. He always stepped up.
There's even a specific story, isn't there, about an FA Youth Cup game?
Yeah, teammate gets sent off. They push Frimpong further forward, and Taylor just says he was outstanding. Scored the winner, apparently. That tells you something.
It really does. That resilience, that knack for rising to the occasion. Taylor connects it back, suggesting maybe it was clear early on he wasn't the typical player for Pep mold for the first team.
So he always had to push.
Seems like it. Taylor says he has always had to fight to prove himself. And he even links it, maybe speculatively, to coming from a big family, having to, fight to make yourself heard. That translates to the pitch.
That's a fascinating bit of background. Adds depth. So after City, the move was Celtic. Taylor thought that was a smart move for him.
Yeah, called it a great move. Let him maybe top off the radar for a bit and then come back stronger, find his feet in senior football.
And he certainly made an impact there quickly. Won a treble, I think, even with that red card in the cup final against Rangers.
That's right. Still contributed massively before that. Chris Sutton's quoted too, remembers his bubbly character, but mainly his speed.
Absolutely rapid, Sutton says. That burst of dynamism over short distances, the ability to just get away from people, go past them.
Yeah, definitely. Though the early take at Celtic, according to the source, was, great going forward, maybe still learning defensively.
Which brings us neatly to Leverkusen, where the article suggests, under Xabi Alonso, he really found his perfect role, thriving as that attacking wingback.
Exactly. Taylor describes him in that system as a kind of mixture of right back and right winger, and says that's really unlocked his game.
Apparently really good in those 1v1 situations, too, both ends of the pitch.
That's what the article highlights, yeah.
Yeah.
Thrives on that direct challenge. And it also mentions his dedication hires his own coach for extra work, even when he's back home visiting family. That's commitment.
Shows he wants to keep improving. So you get this picture of someone adaptable, dedicated, with this blend of attacking threat and defensive capability, even if Leverkusen's system isn't Liverpool's usual 4-3-3. That's a key point the article makes.
Very important context, yeah. The system fit is different. Okay, so we've built up this picture. Pacey, direct, resilient, proven winner, adaptable. Now, the absolute core question, the source tackles. How does that player compare to Trent Alexander-Arnold?
And the article hammers this home again. Very different. Explicitly not a like-for-like replacement. It holds up Trent's passing, that range, as just unique. Untouchable, almost?
So the technical and physical contrasts are stark then, based on the source.
Very. Taylor is blunt. Frimpong does not have Trent's passing range. That seems to be the biggest single difference outlined.
Okay, but on the other side of the coin.
Pace. Frimpong is certainly a lot quicker. And he has that ability, which the article points out isn't really Trent's game, to just dribble past players. That speed and agility his biggest asset, apparently.
There's also a point about technical consistency. That sounds interesting.
Yeah, Taylor mentions Frimpong's concentration can sometimes lead to his technical level varying within a game. Like, capable of a mistake, a 4 out of 10 moment, but then also something 8 out of 10, even world class. Whereas Trent, the implication is, has generally been more consistently operating at a very high technical level.
That seems to be the suggestion, yes. Which, raises questions about how Frimpong adapts, what role he'd play, and defensively. While Trent's defending has sometimes been questioned.
Frimpong thrives one-on-one.
Right. The article says he really thrives in that challenge, and his pace helps him recover if he does make a mistake. It even mentions comparing their heat maps. You don't need to see the image to know they must show very different areas of operation for their current teams.
Okay, so accepting he's a different kind of player. What does the source suggest this actually means for Liverpool tactically? For Arne Slot, there's a lot of curiosity there.
Definitely. A big point raised is that relationship with Mo Salah on the right. Could Frimpong, playing wider, maybe overlapping more aggressively, actually create more space for Salah to cut inside?
Give Salah that extra split second on his left foot.
Potentially. Or, the flip side the article touches on, could Frimpong's natural tendencies take him into zones Salah likes? Could it get a bit congested?
It's a proper tactical puzzle for Slot then. Suggests maybe he'll need to be flexible, adjust things game by game. And Connor Bradley's still there too, of course. Another option, different again.
Exactly. The article mentions Bradley, adding another layer to Slot's options on that right side.
So wrapping up the source's main points, that 29.5 million figure comes up again. Sutton calling him a snip for that. Seems a recurring theme.
It does, but balanced with realism. They absolutely acknowledge the challenge. Stepping into Trent Alexander-Arnold's role, even if playing it differently, those are sizable boots to fill at a club like Liverpool. Huge pressure.
For sure. But the final thought from the article leans positive, right? Drawing on his history.
Yeah, it circles back to that idea that Frimpong has a habit of rising to the challenge. That fighting spirit we talked about earlier.
Okay, so if we boil down everything this Sky Sports piece tells us, Jeremie Frimpong is definitely not Trent II. He's his own player pace, energy, directness, proven winner, but different technical profile. His potential arrival asks big tactical questions for Slot, especially down that right flank.
That sums it up well. A different flavor entirely.
Absolutely. And it leaves you with a final thought, doesn't it? Thinking about his whole journey, having to scrap for recognition at City, finding that perfect niche at Leverkusen, his reported dedication. How does that background, that history of having to adapt and prove himself, maybe prepare him for this specific challenge? Stepping into such a key role at such a huge club, maybe needing to adapt his game yet again.
It's a really interesting angle. How much does that past resilience count when the pressure is this high? Something to definitely keep in mind if this move happens.
It certainly is. Well, that's our deep dive based on the source material. Definitely worth checking out the original article if you want to explore it further.
Indeed. Thanks for tuning in.
Until next time, keep digging into the stories behind the headlines.